My dear, sweet listeners, I say this with all the love in my heart. If you haven't traveled in beautiful Portugal yet, what are you waiting for? You are missing out big time. Iconic beaches, delicious wine, centuries of history, and honestly, some of the most beautiful people that you will ever meet. Why do you think we moved here? So, when you're ready, we are ready to help you plan the most perfect customized Portugal itinerary just for you, and more importantly, how you like to travel. Family trip with the kiddos, lazy girl travel, history buffs, foodies, combinations of all of those, we got you. After exploring Portugal since 2022 and then immigrating here, we're really excited to build travel plans for you that help you see this gorgeous, special place by understanding the way that you like to travel. Book a free call with us right now on our Stan store at stan.store/Portugal Junkies, and we'll talk through your ideal trip and start planning your customized Portugal itinerary. You'll even get your final itinerary on an app to use during your trip for easy access right on your phone while you're here. Remember, adventure is a verb, y'all. We're excited to help you plan yours. Welcome back, Portugal Junkies.
Hello and good morning.
We are super excited because today's episode we have a guest, Nancy Whiteman, and I actually have not met her in person, and neither has Mark. We are friends through Substack, which, how many people say that?
Not so many.
But I do love it because Nancy writes diligently. I feel like it's every week she publishes, so we'll give you all that information before the end of the podcast. But welcome, Nancy.
Yep.
We are so glad to have you.
Lovely to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Pleasure.
All right, we're going to open it up like we always do.
Well, let's do it.
Okay.
Rock and roll.
So tell us a little bit about how you came to live in Portugal. You've been here longer than us. I want to say 5+ years. So tell us how all this came about for you and your moving abroad story. Where'd you come from? How'd you end up here?
Okay, we moved from the Palm Springs area of California. My wife and I traveled quite a bit our whole life, and she was in the military, and during that time had the opportunity to live in Okinawa, Japan for a couple of years. So she was very much interested in living outside of the United States. It was COVID. 2020. In my opinion, it was a shit show in the United States.
It was.
I'm a very progressive liberal Democrat. So
amen, sister.
I wanted to leave the country in 2016, but my mother was still alive and she was in a skilled nursing facility. And we looked at Mexico, spent a lot of time going to different places in Mexico, but with my mom still alive, it just didn't feel right to leave the country. So for us, I know a lot of people do that, but for us, it just didn't feel right. So instead of leaving the country, we moved from Florida to California. So that was the trade-off.
Well, you got a little bit better.
Yeah, much better. We went from the Villages, Florida.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, to Palm Springs, California. That's a little bit of a difference.
A little different.
Interesting fact. I'll just say you're only the second person I've ever met that has come from the Villages. And when we were living in North Carolina, I was doing real estate. I had a client that lived in the Villages and moved up to North Carolina.
It's a big place, though, isn't it?
He was explaining to me how big it is. I was like,
yeah,
not getting off track. I was just like, oh, Villages.
Yeah, no. Just to let you know, when we moved there in 2007, they said we're going to stop development at this point. And when we stop, we'll have 60,000 residents. They now have 200,000 residents.
Wow.
And have obviously expanded exponentially. So
yeah.
Anyway,
wow.
so we were in California, which we loved. We were very happy in that area. but we wanted to get out. We both wanted to get out of the country. Denise more for traveling, me more for political reasons. And so it was COVID. What else do? You look and see where could we move. At that time, Portugal made it very easy to migrate to Portugal. We had never been to Portugal, but we knew it was in Europe. And and we knew once we were in Europe, travel throughout Europe would be super easy.
Yeah.
So we basically moved to Portugal. We contacted a relocation company that kind of held our hand through the process. And I think it was like August of 2020, we said, okay, let's do this. And we contacted the relocation company, sent everything to the DC office, and 28 days later had our visa.
Wow.
Well, it was COVID.
True.
And so we have a pet, because of our dog, we had already booked airline reservations for December 30th. So on December 30th, we flew to Portugal.
I
Fantastic.
love it. So you basically showed up late December 2020.
New Year's Eve 2020.
Wow.
And sight unseen?
Sight unseen.
I have to ask then, like, how did you choose what area of Portugal to be in if you had never even visited the country?
Okay, our first stop was Estoril, which is just next to Cascais.
Yes.
And we stopped there because it had a golf course, which was important to us. We found a really lovely 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment in Cascais. The owners were living in the United States, but planning to come back in 2 years. So they gave us a 2-year lease. They had gut renovated the apartment for us, for themselves.
Yeah.
And then we moved in right after the renovation, so it was beautifully renovated.
Nice.
Really nice, right in downtown Cascais. And so we fell into a really great place.
Well,
So that's how we ended up there.
Cascais is a very beautiful, beautiful place. We enjoyed traveling there.
When we had done our research, we basically said we need to be near Lisbon, and they call this the Riviera of Portugal, so it must be up to our standards. And there we went. So.
So then, after Cascais, what brought you south?
A couple of things. We had met some friends in Lisbon, and they fell in love with Tavira. And they said, oh, you got to come down and look at Tavira, which we did. And as you know, the Algarve is rich with golf courses. And
It is.
golf is something that we play at least 3 times a week. So, and my wife's a former golf professional. So it's very important to us. So after about a little more than a year, we started looking in Algarve, and we really liked Villarreal de San Antonio. It was a little less crowded than Tavira. It was a little more Portuguese, than Tavira. You need to speak Portuguese. Well, you should speak Portuguese in this town.
That's right.
And so we found a 100-year-old, essentially like a union hall. It was the Pescadores Association, but it had been empty for about 30 years. But it still had a roof, so it wasn't a ruin. And it's it's 1 block off the town square. We're directly behind the church. So we found this building and decided, because we were crazy, that we would turn it into a house.
Nice.
And I know we talked about, when we were talking about the podcast and you coming to speak with us, that this was what we wanted to talk through, because apparently it wasn't so easy to do the things that you had hoped to do in the renovation. And is that a fair statement?
It was different.
So tell us, give us a scoop, because we've often considered doing this, because there's a part of me and Mark that wants to live. If we want to buy or invest in something here, it's like you want it to be as authentic as possible to this new place that we're in, right? I do love that. I also love modern conveniences, right? Like there's a fine line and a balance. I think that has to happen for me and for Mark. But like we've often thought and walked by places, especially in Tavira, where you're like, that has so much potential right there. What it looks like, the exterior, the Portuguese tile, the whatever. And then you're just immediately intimidated. Immediately, I feel like I don't even know where to start. So tell us the story about how this all, were you living in Cascais as this was being renovated?
No. We moved to Villarreal as soon as we started the renovation project.
Okay.
So we broke our lease in Cascais, which was fine because the owners wanted to come back sooner than they had originally planned. And so we got an apartment here in town. And started. And when I say we started the renovation process, I really mean we started the approval process, the documentation process, the permitting process. So we moved here in January of 22. Yeah, January of 22. And we hired an architect. Now, keep in mind that we had built homes in the United States, customs homes in the United States. I had bought and flipped homes in the United States. That wasn't my profession. It was just something I liked to do.
Yeah.
And so I thought I understood construction. We've renovated homes that we've lived in. We've put in our own bathrooms. I mean, we're pretty skilled in doing this stuff. So I thought, oh, how difficult can it be? We've done this before. So we started with the paperwork process. So I gave my architect my graph paper of my drawing of the house. So I designed how the house would be laid out.
Okay.
She made some changes and made some changes that were required by Portuguese law because, for example, you can't have a bathroom that opens onto a kitchen. That's a Portugal law. You have to have a handicap accessible bathroom in Villarreal de San Antonio if you're doing a gut renovation of a home, not an apartment, but of a house.
Wow.
So there were certain, dimensions that had to be observed because of that. But basically she took the design of our house and made it okay to be submitted. So she submitted those plans, or we submitted those plans. Fortunately, we had a brand new mayor who was trying to show off. And so 3 weeks after we submitted those plans, they were accepted.
Because that was going to be a question, which was how long does the approval process normally take?
You got lucky.
Yeah, the approval process now is much longer, and it depends on where you are. Tavira is much, much longer than Villarreal de San Antonio. Castro Marim, which is just like 5 kilometers north of us, they have one person in their building department. We have friends that renovated a ruin in Castro Marim. It took them 18 months to get their building permit.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So it's different by municipality. So you really, if you're thinking of doing this, you really need to talk to the locals and find out what the process is. So that was step 1. Then step 2 was engineering, mechanicals. Architects here are draftsmen. They're not really, they don't understand structural engineering. They haven't taken all those courses that an American architect would take. So you hire engineers to do acoustics and heating and water and all kinds of things. And we had 7 of those. And because of earthquakes, there was a seismic study that had to be done. So these 7 things took about 3 months to get done. And then we had to submit those to the camera.
Yeah.
And then in 3 weeks, the camera approved them. God bless them. And then we put that with the architectural approval together into one package. We submitted that to the camera. And about 3 weeks later, we had our building permit. So May 1st, we got our building permit.
Wow. I'm pretty impressed. You think this is, I'm going to say, I'm going to assume that you got fast approvals because of the potential of where this was a historical site in VRSA, right? Mm-hmm. So it was to their benefit to be like, oh, look, they're going to renovate this beautiful piece of our history. I wonder what it would have been like if it wasn't that. I wonder how long.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it was the new mayor. I really do. They changed parties, and there was a big shakeup, and
so they needed to be efficient.
So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a little longer now. I can tell you, in the last year, the amount of renovation in this town has just exploded.
Yeah.
Really?
I suspect it's longer now. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
So May 1st, we had approval. We had a builder lined up by that point. Originally, we were going to hire a builder from Tavira, who we loved a lot, spoke English perfectly, was Romanian by birth. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, or fortunately, because we are in the historic zone, there's a provision in Villarreal that significantly reduces the taxes of building or renovations. So instead of building materials having a 23% VAT,
yeah,
we got a 6% VAT because we were in the historic zone. That was a $47,000 difference.
That's right.
Gosh.
Yeah. So we gave all the paperwork to the builder that we wanted to use from Tavira, who had an excellent reputation. We saw his work. It was beautiful. And he said, I've never seen this before. I have no experience with this. I don't believe this exists. I'm still going to charge you 23%. And so we went in search of another builder.
Yeah.
And we found one here in Villarreal who had experience with this paperwork and said, oh, sure, no problem, I'll do that. Yeah. And the only thing is that he did not speak a word of English. Okay. And at the time, our Portuguese skills were very limited. I mean, we were studying, but it was not good.
Yeah, there's no comparison to...
Yeah.
Right. So construction started May 1st. This was a very traditional Portuguese builder. So demolition was done with a sledgehammer and a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. These guys were just unbelievable. And one wheelbarrow at a time, they would go out, put it in the truck that was parked across the street from us, put some chairs in the parking space when they moved the truck so that nobody parked there.
We see that in Tavira as well.
Drove the truck off to get rid of the debris, bring the truck back, and start again.
Sit down in the chairs, take a break, have a cup of tea.
Just for a second.
Yeah, and this building again was a union hall, so it was very modest. It was very industrial. There was no molding. There was no fancy tile. There was none of the stuff that you think of as Portuguese. It was basically just a big box,
right?
And there really wasn't that much demolition to do. But we put in underfloor heating, which required us to go down 36 inches. So there was a lot of dirt. There was 28 truckloads of dirt that left.
Wow.
Well worth it, I imagine.
Sorry?
Well worth it, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. It's toasty warm in here.
You learned so well in Cascais. You're like, oh, we can
not
have
doing this
some
again.
underfloor heating.
So the demolition took, 3 or 4 months, literally, because they were one wheelbarrow at a time taking this out of here.
Gosh.
And then we started the construction, and all our walls are brick.
Yeah.
Like a 4-inch cinder block, a 4-inch wide cinder block brick. And so they started building, and the first thing that shocked me was they built our house inside our house. So every wall of the house, they put 3.5 inches of insulation, and then 4 inches of brick, And so our house got smaller.
I was getting ready to say, you're giving up a lot of square footage there.
Yeah. And I was shocked. I was like going crazy because I had assumed that the outside walls were the outside walls.
Right.
Right.
But they weren't. Our windows are 31 inches deep. So,
Really?
Because there's the original wall, then there's the insulation, then there's the brick, then there's the plaster. So it's 31 inches deep, all of our windows that face the street. So,
Good grief.
but it was an interesting process. Our builder estimated that it would take, he promised that it would take 12 months. It took 14.
That's
which everybody,
that's not so bad.
yeah, everybody tells me that's a miracle.
I mean, I wouldn't be sad about that if somebody promised me a year and it was actually 14 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
At least not now that I've become more patient in Portugal.
More patient.
Not patient.
Not patient.
More patient.
It's a work in progress and will be for the rest of eternity.
I understand. Yeah. So 14 months later, we moved in. If you look at the outside of the house, because we're in the historic zone, it has very particular windows. It has very particular doors. There has to be a symmetry. We have 2 windows on either side of the door. We had to put in a fake pombolin roof, which is a tile roof.
Yeah.
Originally, it was just a straight facade. They made us cut off the top of the facade and make this fake roof because it had to be, because it was in the historic zone.
I was going to say so that it looked like the area, I'm assuming. Looked like
Right.
the
Now,
other.
our neighbors don't have that because they renovated before that zoning went into effect.
Right.
So I argued we should keep the facade because it looks like our neighbor's facade and it's all uniform.
Yeah.
And they said, no, you have to go with the new style.
Yeah.
So we took that 7 feet of top terrace space that we lost and turned it into storage.
Okay.
So that's where our Christmas tree is.
Right.
So
Hey.
Soon coming down, I guess.
it'll be coming down next week.
There you go. Excellent. So how do you go about again, when we read a lot of the Facebook groups, there are a lot of people talking about, builders and about construction workers and that sort of trades. Who knows a good carpenter, electrician, a plumber, this, that, and the other. How did you go about finding and checking up on, the validity of that person or that group?
That's a good question.
Right. Well, there was a lot of trust involved. First of all, we signed a contract with a general contractor, and he was responsible for all of the subs except for heating and air conditioning and the kitchen. So in Portugal, generally speaking, if you do a full renovation or build a home, it doesn't come with a kitchen.
Right.
Right? You go and you find a kitchen supplier, and they actually design the kitchen and install the kitchen for you. Because we were doing underfloor heating, which was kind of atypical, and because it's not really central air, but it seems like central air. Because we have 4 compressors around the house. There are different zones and coming out of the ceiling, so we don't have splits on the wall. So because we had a more atypical heating and air conditioning situation, he gave us a recommendation of a HVAC company. I interviewed 2 other HVAC companies, and I ended up going with his recommendation.
Right.
So, in terms of checking up on them, every day around 2:00, Nancy showed up on the job site. She would count the number of workers at the job site, which generally wasn't that many. It was generally like 2. Then she would walk half a block to the bar on the corner, buy 2 sawgrushes, come back, hand them to the workers.
Thank you.
And then probably once a month I bought lunch on Fridays for everybody and had it delivered. But every day I was checking, and that was a good thing. I mean, the first time I showed up and they were building the interior walls, the wall that I'm facing right now in our den was in the wrong spot.
Ooh.
Fortunately, they only had 2 levels of brick.
Right.
And the mortar hadn't set yet, so they were able to move it. But I looked at it and I said, that doesn't look right. And I measured it and I said, no, you're looking at an old plan.
Oh,
and so so they then moved it where it was supposed to be. So that was good. One day I showed up and they had they had spray painted on the brick wall where they were going to put the thing that controls the shower when you get in the shower.
Yeah.
Well, my arm would have gotten wet if they put it there.
Not for the first time have I seen that.
No kidding.
And I don't like that. And the shower was big enough that we could have a place to put it, where you step into the shower and you're not wet yet.
Yeah.
So I, X'd that out and drew where it was supposed to be. I think the biggest surprise for me, having built homes in the United States, was I was used to a blueprint that had like a transparent layer that went over it that showed you the wiring.
Yep.
And then another one that showed you the plumbing.
Yeah.
That does not exist here.
Yep.
So when I asked our architect, where's the electrical plan, where's the plumbing plan, she said, oh, that's the engineer's responsibility. So I then called the engineer and I said, so when are you going to give me the plumbing plan? He says, it's already done. I said, what I'm looking at is getting water to the front of the house. There's nothing inside the house. He said, oh, no, that's your job. I called the electrician. I said, I'm looking at what you submitted to the camera. It's getting the electric to my front door. And he said, yeah. I said, well, what about the 75 electrical outlets that I want to have installed? What about where I want USB ports instead of electric plugs? What about? And he said, well, that's your job.
Gee.
So I said, well, what does that mean? And he said, well, one day you'll get a call from the builder and he'll ask you to come to the job site and the electrician will be there. And you'll walk around the house with the electrician and you'll spray paint on the wall or the floors where you want outlets. Now, I'm a little OCD. And I think in my former life I was an architect, I really do. So I had already done a blueprint with
you already knew what you wanted.
So that's exactly what happened. One day I got a call from the builder, and I mean, it's a good thing we were here. It was like, the electrician is coming at 2:00, you need to be here.
Right.
So I would run over at 2:00 with my plan, and he and I would walk around the house and spray paint. We're putting pendant lights here, we're doing this here, we're doing USB ports here, da-da-da-da-da.
Wow.
So the inside of the house does not look Portuguese at all. So when you look at the outside of the house, you're looking at a Portuguese house. When you open the front door, you're looking at something from California, trust me. It's wide open. It's very American style. The furniture is all kind of Scandi mid-century kind of look.
Yeah.
The kitchen is open, the whole thing. So.
Yeah. And I think that's something you don't often find, apart from in sort of rehab work or anything like that, where you look at a traditional Portuguese building or home, even apartments, and more or less every room is its own room in itself with a door that you can close off. And growing up in England, that was very similar.
Right.
By and large, that was similar. When I moved to the States and the first couple of houses I lived in and then the one we built, it was like the size of a football pitch inside, all open.
Because it's open.
And I remember the first time my mum came over, my mum and dad came over, and she just walked in the house and she was like, is this all yours? Kind of thing.
Well, it does look bigger.
Like
it makes it look bigger.
Yeah, and so I very much enjoy that feel of the traditional aesthetic, but with the comfort, as you said earlier, the comfort of what you have come to know and live in, you know, and how that wraps around you as well. Because I think that's really important.
We have this running joke that we talk about a lot where it's like, or we've said it in the past a lot, where it's like, charm wears off. Charm wears off. Right? Yeah. It's like you can be charmed by this like beautiful Portuguese Airbnb that you might stay in or whatever. But like when you're going to live there for like the rest of, the charm can wear off if it doesn't often have the things like you chose in your home when you built it, where it's like USB ports and beautiful pendant lights and open kitchen and like all the things. Yeah. So it is funny because I think we've wisened up a little bit, because I do have that emotional part of me that's like, oh, I love that Portuguese blank, right? And that feel that it gives me because we love this country and the culture so much. But on the flip side, you're like, yeah, but.
Catch us next week for part 2 of our conversation with Nancy and find out all about her renovation build in Portugal.